Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling, well, a mountain of material on a comedy group often put on the same pedestal as the Beatles, which is quite a claim.
It really is. We're talking about Monty Python, of course. Chapman, Cleese, Gilliam, Idle, Jones, and Palin formed back in '69.
And that comparison,
Yeah.
the Beatles of comedy, it's bold. Our sources seem to argue it's because they didn't just innovate, they sort of broke comedy.
I think that's a fair way to put it. Yeah. They dismantled the structure. Our goal today is really to dig into how they did that. Look at their very unique style, where they actually came from, which is surprising in itself, and just how deep their cultural legacy goes.
Right, covering the TV show, the films, everything. Flying Circus, their first show from '69 to '74, gets called a turning point for TV comedy pretty much everywhere.
Absolutely pivotal.
So let's start at the beginning, because the origin is, well, it's wonderfully Pythonic in its own way. This group, known for total anarchy, they started at Oxford and Cambridge.
The irony isn't lost, is it? You've got Terry Jones and Michael Palin meeting at Oxford. Then Graham Chapman, John Cleese, and Eric Idle, they were all at Cambridge, members of the Footlights Club.
And Footlights is legendary, a real incubator for British comedy for, what, decades?
Oh, absolutely. So these weren't just funny guys. They were, part of the intellectual establishment in a way.
Which probably explains why their satire of the establishment of bureaucracy felt so sharp. They knew it from the inside, didn't they?
They absolutely did. And before Python itself formed, the real crucible seems to have been The Frost Report. That was '66, '67.
David Frost's show.
That's the one. It brought the British members together: Cleese, Chapman, Idle, Jones, Palin. It was satirical, sketch-based, and apparently quite high pressure. A perfect environment for their different styles to start meshing, or maybe clashing productively.
And around the same time, you had Idle, Jones, and Palin also working on Do Not Adjust Your Set.
Right, which was more for kids, sort of surreal. And that's where Terry Gilliam's animations first showed up alongside them.
So all the pieces were kind of floating around near each other.
Exactly. And the actual formation, well, it wasn't exactly planned. Cleese had worked with Chapman, but was apparently a bit wary of doing just a two-man show again.
Okay.
He'd enjoyed working with Palin on a special called How to Irritate People. So Cleese asks Palin. Palin says yes, but suggests bringing in Jones, who he worked with closely. And then they suggest Idle and Gilliam. It was like a chain reaction.
Just adding people they liked working with.
Pretty much, not some grand strategy, which kind of fits with how they named the group, too. They apparently went through lists of deliberately meaningless names.
Oh yeah, the source material mentions some amazing ones. Owl Stretching Time.
The toad elevating moment.
Mm-hmm.
They thought the idea of a name having absolutely zero connection to the show was funny in itself.
So Monty Python, where did that finally come from?
Well, Monty was apparently Eric Idle's idea, a sort of gentle, slightly absurd tribute to Field Marshal Montgomery.
Okay, that's random.
And Python just sounded slippery. John Cleese suggested it, apparently. They just stuck them together. Monty Python. Memorable, slightly silly, means nothing. Perfect.
And that sort of absurdist logic, that meaninglessness, directly fueled what might be their biggest innovation, getting rid of the punchline.
This is absolutely key to understanding them. They looked at sketch writing and thought, writers always struggle with the ending, trying to find that perfect final joke.
And it often falls flat or feels forced.
Exactly. It detracts from the good stuff that came before. So the Pythons just decided, well, if the sketch runs out of steam, just stop it. Cut away. Don't force an ending that isn't there.
Which led to those classic moments, just cutting abruptly to something else. Or John Cleese wandering in a dinner jacket.
And now for something completely different.
The ultimate non sequitur transition.
Or, my personal favorite, Graham Chapman as the Colonel, just marching on set and stopping sketches for being far too silly.
Which is brilliant. It breaks the fourth wall and makes fun of the whole idea of needing a neat ending. It's genius, really.
And the glue holding these often jarring cuts together was, of course, Terry Gilliam's animation.
Ah, yes. That stream of consciousness style, using cutouts, photos, often Victorian illustrations.
Yeah, using very basic tools, a camera, scissors, airbrush, but creating these incredibly dense, surreal, moving collages. They were the visual bridges.
And that iconic giant foot that comes down and crushes the title. Where did that come from?
That's another lovely bit of highbrow meets lowbrow. It's the foot of Cupid, apparently lifted from a print of Bronzino's painting Venus, Cupid, Folly, and Time.
A Renaissance masterpiece foot used to squash their own logo. Perfect.
It really sums them up, doesn't it? And that mix of styles was there in the writing room, too. The partnerships really shaped the kinds of sketches they did.
Right, you had distinct pairings. Cleese and Chapman.
Their stuff was often more verbal, aggressive, focusing on confrontation and bizarre logic. Think Dead Parrot or The Argument Clinic. Really tight, almost philosophical arguments about nonsense.
Whereas Jones and Palin, the Oxford pair, their sketches were often more visual,
Yeah,
more whimsical.
definitely. More based on a surreal situation. Like the Spanish Inquisition sketch. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. The joke is the unexpected visual entrance.
And Eric Idle, he often wrote alone, didn't he?
Yeah, Idol specialized in wordplay, complex monologues, characters with really strange ways of talking, and the songs, of course. He brought that sort of musical, linguistic absurdity.
We should also mention the cross-dressing. It was a Python staple.
Very much in the British panto and music hall tradition. Terry Jones especially was known for playing these sort of working-class older women, these rat bag types, as the sources call them.
While Idols sometimes played maybe more traditionally feminine women.
Yes. But crucially, they also had Carol Cleveland. She was in so many episodes, something like 2/3, often called the unofficial seventh Python. She was essential.
So beneath all the silliness and the surrealism, they were actually making sharp points, weren't they? Satire was always there.
Oh, absolutely. Dead Parrot isn't just funny, it's a brilliant take on terrible customer service, right?
Definitely. And Ministry of Silly Walks.
The ultimate skewering of pointless bureaucracy. Government waste distilled into pure physical comedy.
And Spam, which became Spam.
Exactly. A commentary on the post-war rationing era, the sheer ubiquity of this one product taken to an absurd extreme, and now the word defines unwanted emails. Amazing.
So from the TV show, they moved into films. The first one, and now for something completely different in '71, that was basically just remaking TV sketches for America.
Yeah, it was a low-budget attempt to crack the U.S. market. It didn't really take off immediately, apparently.
But then came Monty Python and the Holy Grail in 1975, their first proper original film.
And what a film. Still endlessly quoted. Made on a shoestring budget, just £229,000, which is incredible.
And the funding story for that is wild too, isn't it? Rock stars chipped in?
Yeah. To get it made, they got money from bands like Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Genesis, these huge rock groups investing in this completely absurd historical comedy.
You couldn't make it up. And it gave us lines like "'Tis but a scratch." Just legendary stuff.
Then 4 years later, Life of Brian, 1979. And, oh, the controversy.
Huge controversy. But the Pythons always maintained, and the sources back this up, they weren't mocking Jesus.
No, not at all. The target was religious fanaticism, credulity, hypocrisy, how people blindly follow anyone they think is the Messiah. It was satire on the followers, not the figurehead.
And again, a bizarre funding story. George Harrison stepped in.
He did. The original backers got cold feet because of the controversy. So George Harrison, of the Beatles no less, set up his own film company, Handmade Films, pretty much just so he could see the movie made.
He just wanted to see the film. That's incredible.
He reportedly mortgaged his house, and that film gave us maybe the most famous line. Terry Jones as Brian's mom shouting, "He's not the Messiah, he's a very naughty boy."
Classic. Their last film with all six was The Meaning of Life in '83.
Right. That one went back to a sketch format, loosely structured around the stages of life. It was darker, more grotesque in parts. The Mr. Creosote scene.
Oh, don't remind me. Wafer Thin Mint.
Yeah, definitely pushed boundaries. But it won the Grand Prix at Cannes, so the critics appreciated it, even if it was challenging.
So they had UK success, cult film status. But how did Python finally break America in a big way? It seems like such intensely British humor sometimes.
It really does. The breakthrough moment, according to our sources, came down to one PBS station in Dallas, Texas.
Karaya.
Really? Texas?
Yep.
In 1974, they started airing episodes of Flying Circus. It was a huge, unexpected hit there. The ratings were massive. And that success spurred other PBS stations across the U.S. to pick it up. That's what really launched them nationwide in America.
Amazing. Just needed that one foothold. And that led to this huge, lasting cultural impact. We even have the word Python-esque.
Which is sort of the ultimate compliment, isn't it? Your name becomes an adjective for a whole style of humor. Surreal, anarchic, intellectual, yet silly.
Though Terry Jones apparently found that ironic.
He did. He said that if they could be categorized as Python-esque, they'd failed in their original aim to be completely uncategorizable. A lovely Pythonic twist.
But their impact on language is undeniable. You mentioned spam earlier.
Yeah, from the sketch to defining junk email worldwide, that's incredible reach.
And it goes beyond language, even into tech and science.
It really does. The Python programming language, hugely popular, named directly after them. Its development environment is called IDL, after Eric Idle.
That's brilliant.
And there's a giant prehistoric snake fossil named Monty Pythonoides rivers liensis. They're literally fossilized in scientific nomenclature.
So after the group stopped working together regularly, they all had pretty big solo careers, too.
Oh, absolutely huge. John Cleese with Fawlty Towers, often voted the greatest British sitcom ever.
A masterpiece of cringe and frustration.
And Eric Idle had massive success with Spamalot, the musical based on Holy Grail. Won Tonys, ran for years, proved the material had legs beyond the original group.
But the group did get back together one last time, didn't they? The 2014 reunion shows.
Monty Python Live, mostly. 1 down, 5 to go. Graham Chapman had passed away by then, of course.
And the reason for that reunion? It wasn't just nostalgia, was it?
Not exactly, it was. Well, it was classic Python irony, really. They owed a fortune in legal fees.
Seriously?
Yeah, apparently about £800,000. They'd lost a court case over royalties from Spamalot to the original producer of Holy Grail.
So the kings of anti-establishment silliness were forced back together by a lawsuit.
Basically, yes, to pay off their legal bills. It's almost too perfect, isn't it? The ultimate mundane, bureaucratic reason for a reunion of these chaotic geniuses.
That is hilariously bleak, and yet people went crazy for it.
Oh, completely. The first show at the O2 Arena sold out in something like 43 seconds. The demand was absolutely insane. It proved how much they were still loved.
So a legacy built on satire, surrealism, breaking rules, and capped off by needing to pay the lawyers.
A fittingly absurd final chapter, perhaps. They genuinely changed comedy forever.
And just to leave our listeners with one final, slightly bizarre Python connection to ponder. We know asteroids are named after Idle, Cleese, and Palin.
Right? Celestial bodies.
But there's also an endangered lemur in Madagascar, the Bamaraha woolly lemur, its scientific name, Avahi cleese, named after John Cleese because of his conservation work.
A lemur named Cleese. It seems there's no corner of the world or the solar system or the fossil record that hasn't been touched by Python in some weird and wonderful way.
So what other strange places bear their mark? Something to think about until our next deep dive.